And we're live. What's going on, Doug? Welcome to the
Not
show.
too much. How are you guys doing? Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm good. It's a little late, Mark. What's how's everything going on your side?
The sun's about to rise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for coming back to the show, everybody. Um, Before we get started, just want to give everybody an update on what we're going on. We're in the process of updating our website, and we're about to launch a new membership portal, which will include some follow along videos, um, workouts, exercise demos, and a lot of really great stuff that Mark DeGrasse and our Chief Fitness Officer, Mark Smith, are putting together for us. So keep an eye out for that. And just a reminder that everything is 20% off for the till the end of June. But that's the end of the commercials, Doug. I promise we won't take up any more of your time with our plugs.
Oh, go for it. You got to pay the bills.
Yeah. Doug is Doug Fioranelli is our guest. He is the owner of Rise Above Strength, and he is a regular contributor to Own Academy. Um, Doug, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and how you got into training and what you're up to?
Sure. So I've been a trainer since 2001. I originally wanted to do physical therapy, went to PT school, didn't like it, so I finished my master's degree in kinesiology. Growing up, I just played a ton of sports. Soccer was my favorite, and then it was my love, but also the bane of my existence. It injured me a few times, so I had two ACLs done, and kind of missed my window for going a little bit further. But I really enjoyed the rehab process of it. And at the time, strength and conditioning wasn't really, it was basically your coach throwing medicine balls at you before practice. So it wasn't something that it is now. And I really kind of gravitated towards it. And so now fast forward a little bit, I learned as much as I could about training, did a lot of certifications and got a lot of experience, and opened my own gym in 2008. And I've been training young athletes anywhere from middle school up into the Olympic and pro level. Also adults with kettlebells, unconventional exercises, and regular exercises, and also police, fire, and military. So that's kind of who we cater to at the gym here. And then the last few years, we added a little bit of rehab work. I have a PT here. I've done some fascial stretch therapy with people and things like that. So I'm trying to be an all-inclusive gym and just get everybody where they need to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're the first trainer we talked to that's actively involved with firefighters and police officers and other servicemen. How how is the programming different for that group of individuals compared to the average desk jockey or mom and dad?
Sure. It's not much different. The way I set up my gym, it's we do for those groups like the average desk jockey and the police, fire, military. The classes are similar, so they're circuit style. They're kind of based on time, and I tell them, hey, I just want good form, and I want you to do what you can do in that time. So I noticed for police, fire, and military, those guys tended to do like the bench press for sets of 10, and then go hit the water cooler for a while. So this kind of fits that conditioning realm that they don't have, so it kind of gets them out of their comfort zone. Maybe a lot of guys aren't doing any single leg work like lunges or single leg RDLs and things like that, so it really kind of incorporate full body workouts and get them to do things that they would normally do that are a little bit more specific to their jobs when they need it. And then the mom and pops, kind of, I treat everybody pretty much the same. So we adhere. We definitely have a different type of clientele. It's not for everybody. I mean, granted, I'm not a person that kicks anybody out or tries to make it so hard they throw up, but it is that kind of gym where it's kind of what you want to get out of it, whether you need a little more strength or a little more endurance, and it's that kind of gym. So I think within that realm, it's not much different. It's just training, it's movement, it's mobility, it's strength and endurance. So
Do you have to? I mean, I know those guys have certain physical standards they have to meet to. Do you train them to those to an extent, or is your training completely independent of the stuff that they have to meet for their job?
no, so it turns out, which is kind of weird, is once they're in the program, they'd never have to retrain again. All I think they'll have to do is really qualify with their gun, and that's about it. So it's kind of it's kind of a bummer that they don't have to requalify every few years with just like a basic run or push-up test or anything like that. So I think the union's strong where they don't have to really do that. I have trained people that are going into the academy or going into the military or firefighter academy, and I've trained those people to complete their tests, and they've all done really well.
So I'm not going to feel bad now if I make a stereotype about a cop in a donut, because when I see one, I know that he has no need to hit the gym and work out. So what you're saying?
Over here, no. And I've actually been trying to work with one of the local firefighter departments to actually have some standards, because in all honesty, they have between the police and fire in the local city around here, about 25% of their staff is off on workers' comp. And we're talking basic stuff like I pulled my back muscle or I did this, things that could probably be avoided. So yeah, so they're trying to find ways to around this, and they're trying to incorporate physical fitness, but they can't really force people to do it just because of the union stuff. So it's been a little bit of a hoop to jump through, and I've been trying to work with the fire chief and the police chief, but they got to have the backing and the financial, kind of money to support it, and they don't have that right now.
Now, do you think a lot of the injuries and the workers' comp type issues are, they sit, they're very inactive in many ways, either in their patrol car or sitting around the firehouse, and then they're just called into duty. I mean, they're not constantly active in maintaining, and they're just called upon to go from 0 to 100 in no time.
I think you're absolutely right. I've had the cops tell me that is the hardest part of their job, is going from 0 to 100. I have a lot that work even at night, so that's the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, and that just adds a whole nother dynamic to it. Your body's not used to being in that kind of pattern, so it just makes it even harder. They're tired, but you're right. They sit in a car, especially if it's cold out or rainy, and then they got to get up and go right away, and they can hurt themselves doing that for sure.
I want to echo the statement a little bit ago about testing. I think it would certainly be beneficial to be a necessity. I've trained a couple of cops. One particular was getting ready for BLET, and then the other one was a real young guy. He was 23. I was only 24, 25 at the time, and this guy, he passed his BLET, and then basically not done anything physical for a year, and he decided to come in the gym and get in shape, and we just started this workout. It was not very rigorous. I mean, it was kind of basic. Yeah. I had him doing like a bear crawl, just trying to get moving about a little bit, and I think I had him pushing a heavy bag, one of the plastic bottom ones across the gym floor, something simple like that. And this guy just tapped out about 3 minutes into the whole hour-long session. He's laying on the ground, sweating, and we've done one down and one back. We bear crawled down, we pushed the thing back. This guy is, just completely wiped out. And I looked at him and I said, I don't take this offensively at all, but if I broke the law and you were chasing me, I wouldn't give a shit. Like, I would outrun you, outperform you. And I said, doesn't that bother you about your job? He's like, well, I'll just call for backup. I said, man, I think that you should hold yourself to a physical standard.
Yeah.
And take pride in that. I mean, you're 23, man. You ain't been on the force for 25 years and been pushing paperwork. At the end of it, is like, you should be like the first guy out of a car to respond to something. And he basically just said, I just come home and sit down. I'm tired after a shift. So I think that if there was hey, listen, if you don't pass your test, we're going to have to suspend you, until you get that score up, or some sort of standard like that. I think that it would benefit in the bigger picture is you don't have 25% of your force on workman's comp. That's where you're losing money. That's where the money is going, is paying people that aren't working, versus, let's just get a little test twice a year. We gotta, like you said, real basic. How many push-ups? Do it almost like a push-up, pull-up, run. What do you got? Or a staircase, or some sort of, for firemen, maybe some sort of obstacle type thing, like upstairs, down a rope or something. But I agree with both you guys 100% that there should be some level of testing. And I do think that by reputation, firemen seem to be a little bit more fit than cops, just by reputation. And I mean, it's all individual based. I mean, you've got guys that really get out there and get after it.
And a lot of firehouses have, those guys have a lot of time to kill, and I think most of the firehouses I've been to have gyms in the firehouse. Yes. And those guys spend a lot of time just working out to, get the time to pass.
Yeah.
And they want to be in calendars and all that stuff too. They want to be greased up. But.
Yeah. So they have all, at least around here they do. They even consulted me like what to buy, and they got all new stuff, and I went in there and showed them things, not to hurt themselves and stuff, because they took away a lot of their machines. Now they have like more of an open rack kind of system, and I just kind of showed them what to do, because a lot of guys like their machines. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And there's a whole responsibility to themselves and their family to be safe and be able to perform their job, and also to the partners. But the other thing too, I going maybe a little more on the political side of thing, is like the taxpayers, we're paying for this, right? So, we're paying their salary, and if they're out and we're paying them, I don't know, I feel like we should have a say in what they should do and should be able to qualify, and if we're going to pay for their way, and to help us if we need it too. So it's just my 2 cents.
Well, what's up?
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Doug. If the taxpayers are fronting the bill, why not hold them to a little bit higher standard, or like you said, have a voice in it. If I own stock in a company, if I'm a stockholder, shareholder, I have a little bit of say in the company.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the union stuff like you were talking about, Doug, it makes it, there's an add of complexity that just goes beyond anything that's usually, that level of bureaucracy is hard to break.
Yeah.
It's like going up against a wall.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I think fitness has come a long way, and I think it will go a little bit further down the road with these guys. But yeah, it's still not all the way there yet, right?
Yeah, and I've heard they've done studies where there's a really high heart attack rate because of the constant stress, and they've done population studies of cops and firefighters, and they try to educate the younger guys now, or at least they do a better job of it, to stress the importance of, hey, sitting down a lot, coupled with all the the stress of being shot at and dealing with tweakers all the time. You really need to take care of yourself, work out, manage your stress, eat well, because you're dealing with a lot deeper, a lot harder shit than the average person would.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a police officer is the very nature of the job. And back when I lived in Concord, I live in Wilmington now, but when I lived in Concord, I did jiu-jitsu, and the guy that taught the school, his name was Joe Hurst, and we had tons of cops. He was real big on getting law enforcement into jiu-jitsu, and I did a lot with them. So I had a lot of cop friends when I lived in Concord, which is awesome for speeding around town. And I just talking with the guys, it seems like the job is actually set up to more or less just rapidly deteriorate a person. Like Mike said, it's a ton of stress. They sit most of the time. Like, they're not really out of their car or desk. And a lot of times it is mostly you sit in a car all day. And so there's no real freedom to move or even try to do better. And in long shifts too. It's kind of like it's not really a 12-hour shift. It's more like a 14-hour shift type thing. What most of these guys were telling me. And then again, the stress. I mean, you can't really overemphasize the detriment that stress has on the human body, especially the mind.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they, now they've got all this, unfair public hatred, blaming them for every inner city ill in the world. So these guys are supposed to be looked at as heroes, and now they're being looked at as the town villains. It's I can't imagine what they go through. But in all fairness, Doug, you probably also work with a lot of guys who are just completely yoked and make the rest of us look horrible, I'm sure.
I have some strong dudes in the gym, so we're not going to win any bodybuilding contests over here, but I definitely have some pretty strong guys in here for sure.
Nice. So, are there any other projects you got going on at the moment? You doing any traveling or anything?
For training wise, no, not really. It's tough. It's tough to get away, as you guys probably know. Like I have maybe a little bit of help at the gym, but I still do a lot. Like I train a lot. So I was working all this morning from 7 a.m. till about 6 p.m. So I work pretty a lot. I just don't, which is hard for me to get anything else going, like online stuff or anything. I still try to contribute articles and do things like this because I really enjoy it, and I feel like I can help people out with just basically just from my experience. But no, nothing in the pipe right now in terms of even certifications or training or anything like that for me.
Well, one of the reasons Mark and I wanted to have you on is you had done an article for On It, last year, or it might have been close to 2 years now, but it was titled the 10 Steps on the Road to Mastery, and Mark and I really loved that article. So we thought maybe we could talk through some of the things that you see are important for people, and the article it was written in such a way that it's not just about becoming a great athlete or becoming great at using a certain implement in the gym, like a kettlebell or something. It's really that these steps that you outlined seem to be applicable to any area of life, whether that's being good at your job, being a great father. So I don't know, how familiar you are with the 10 steps, but maybe you could just give us an overview of that, of your philosophy of what what it takes to rise above average and master something.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the steps, right?
Doug, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that
Yes.
for the inaugural issue of the On It Academy Journal? When I switched from My Bad Methods to that, we had the mastery issue.
Yes.
Yep. I had an article.
Yeah, that was it. You're right. I still have that. I remember it. Yeah, so they asked me to write an article on that. I remember Mark DeGrasse asked me to write that, and it was like, I go, man, that's a cool topic, but I go, that's a hard topic to write about too. And I had to really reflect and kind of think about it. Because first off, I don't think of myself as a master in anything really. I'm always striving. What's that?
I said the exact same thing when they asked.
Yeah, so you did yours too, yeah. Because there's always a guy that's gonna, outlift me or do this or kettlebell swing, things like that. So, but then again, when I thought about it, I don't think mastery is, being the absolute best at something. I think mastery is just kind of the openness and the willingness to constantly learn and to constantly better yourself. So I kind of took that approach with it, and I've always kind of taken that approach with everything I do. So, rather than me worrying about like, oh, I don't know how to do something, if it's important to me and I want to learn how to do something, I'm going to start doing it, and I'm going to try to learn from the people that are a little bit better than me so I can incorporate it to better myself. And I think just being the most complete version of yourself is a form of mastery. So I know most people, they say, oh, the best athletes in the world, they're really great at one thing, but they're not great at a lot of things. And they would say the people that are really good at a lot of different things aren't masters of it. And I kind of beg to differ. I think that most people aren't elite athletes. Those elite athletes are 0.0001% of the population, so all the rest of us are either average or above average, but we definitely have this capacity to excel beyond just the normal mundane life and to kind of constantly keep learning and moving and whatnot. So like the first step, you talked about was rising above. I mean, kind of cliche with my name here, but it's just kind of going beyond. I mean, it's very easy to get complacent with a lot of things, and I still do it myself. But it's, kind of always pushing yourself to see what's out there and to see how far you can take something, whether it's learning a new skill or learning about business or taking on a client that is maybe a different special population. Can you do that, and can you learn from that experience? And I think that's part of it. And I just went down the line on like how to do that. So just kind of realizing your strengths and how you can use those strengths to kind of better yourself and better the people around you, and to kind of incorporate that new things and make them your strengths and kind of grow with them. Setting goals is huge. A lot of people say, I want to do X, but whether it's so far down the end of the spectrum, they don't have those like smaller steps to get to those goals. Like I want X, but how do I get there? You know, like let's say I want to do a handstand, but I can't even, you know, do a crow pose, let's say, so they have to do those little steps in between. So realizing those goals and also taking kind of the sense of accomplishment with those small steps in between. Also, you know, really, what did I talk about? Like paying it forward, like really trying to help people out, I think is huge. And I've learned the most just by working with people and training, you know. I don't really take, you know, I don't really think about the things I'm necessarily good at. I want to really focus on the things I'm bad at, and I just kind of constantly remind myself that I'm bad at them, but then eventually those things will get better, and I'll feel like I'm a better person when I start mastering those things. And then of course there's going to be you know, adversity. It's everything. You know, you can work well during when times are good, but it's how you work well when times are bad. I mean, I've had plenty of coaches that said, you know, when the chips are down, this is when you kind of show your skill. And I really think that. And it's very easy to give up or not know what to do, but it's just, you know, you just kind of have to take your time, rely on the strengths that you know that you have inside you, and feel like you're going to be able to pull through.
So we definitely agree on a lot of things, very similar points of view when it comes to mastery. I'm writing for the same issue of On That Academy, and my article was entitled, I think it was something like Master of None, a generalist approach to mastery. And
yeah, I love that. That was a great article.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I basically said that, you know, I'd rather be pretty good at a lot of things, you know, slightly better than okay, than great at one thing, but that doesn't mean that I can't continue to always get, you know, skill, and specifically that one was like skill acquisitions. Like I can focus on a few skills at a time and work on those, and then once I get, you know, very proficient at those, I can sort of move on to others, but I'm always assimilating new things in there versus just being like a total expert at one thing. With regards to your article, Doug, I thought that points 2, 4, 9, and 10 were like just super. Like you couldn't have written the article without those points, and it'd been the same article. So we can touch on those, and you can elaborate a little bit more. You really did touch on 2 already, and 2 was realizing your strengths. I think that, you know, if I'm talking to somebody, it's what are you good at? Let's start there. I mean, to me, the ultimate trait or attribute for success in life is confidence. If you're confident, you believe in yourself, especially if you have this unwavering belief in yourself, you're going to be successful at whatever you do, and others around you are going to believe in you, and it's contagious. And I think that if you start focusing on your strengths, that just, you know, enhances that confidence. It's like you're building, you know, you got a new client come in. Well, you know, I'm not going to show a new client, you know, let's walk on our hands day one, down the back of the room, and let's go up and down stairs on our hands. That'd be ludicrous. They would feel insecure and wouldn't want to go anywhere. But I might say, hey, you're pretty good at lunges because, you know, they just maybe came from a boot camp and they did a lot of lunges in them. So let's start with something very familiar and something they're really good at, you know, right away, and say, oh, this was fun. Like I didn't suck so bad today that I felt like quitting. Or any skill, you know, if you know, Mike and I are doing this website thing together. Mike is really good at, you know, working the website out and that sort of thing. I'm not really good at technology type stuff. Might be a little bit better than you, Doug, because I was able to get on the phone.
I'm the worst.
10 minutes faster, so I think that I found somebody that's worse at a computer than I am. Thank you for that.
Yeah, make you feel like a master of technology.
Yeah, dude, I really felt like I mastered the computer. I even gave a tip before we went live, and I felt pretty smug about that one. But anyway, and it's like, and then, you know, my strengths with the website are, you know, writing material relating to movement and fitness. So it's like we're working together, but we're both playing on our strengths to be successful.
And you're also extremely photogenic, Mark. Don't leave that out. You are the face of the business.
My whole family's photogenic. It makes family portraits really nice, or pictures really nice, which is awesome. But thank you. I was actually kind of a goofy-looking kid. Somewhere in my late 20s, I grew some facial hair. And it worked out for me, so that was good. You'd hate to see me as an 8th grader. Then number 4, this one was awesome because I'm a big dreamer. It says commit to your dreams no matter what. I am like, yeah, my wife will tell you, it's like I get a notion in my head and it's like whatever it takes to get to that dream. Like, and I do not dream small, Doug. I mean, it's like big, crazy dreams. Like, and I don't know if it's like my granddad was Irish and he would get a notion and he would just hang on to it like with a death grip. I mean, it was like almost obsessive about it, and I kind of got that from him where once I get an idea or something, I can't let it go. I mean, I think about it, and I try to figure out what does it take, what do I need to do to get there. Committing to your dreams at all costs. That one you can't become a master of anything if you're not willing to do that.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think that thing too is, it's some people go through life not really knowing, early on like what they want to do, but I think knowing what you want to do, or at least having some kind of semblance of what it is, it might be something in the fitness world. You don't know exactly what you want to do in the fitness world, but you have this passion for fitness. I mean, that's like an innate sense that you're not going to just pick out of the sky, So I think if you really follow your gut, you're going to do that. And then if you find that passion, go with it, and then just fine tune it and hone it like with your strengths and really follow that dream. And there's a lot of negativity out there. I mean, I am kind of a contrarian. If someone tells me I'm not going to do something, I will just basically throw up my middle fingers and just do it, anyway. So I love hearing like the other way around, because I like going the opposite of what people say, because it's just my nature, because you'll even find negativity within people's own families, saying, oh, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, this and that. And I'm like, no, I think I'll be okay. I'll do it myself, and I'm going to go with it. And that's the kind of person I've always been. And I mean, I think, I don't know if it's a good thing, but it's just the kind of way I flow, and,
Yeah, well, with a lot of people, I know what you're talking about with having, people around you that are skeptical of your dreams, or they sort of tell you they don't want you to fail, and I think that's part of it, is they fear for you, for fear of how you might feel if you did fail, instead of supporting you and letting you fail. And and then there's the other side too, that people who don't want to see you succeed because they don't want to see you rise above.
I think that's actually more the case in human psychology, is that people are so timid to try to be bold, to dare to do something that's anything less than safe or secure. And so in order to follow your dreams, you're going to have to take chances. You're going to have to take a risk. You're going to fail. Like, Doug, you can tell me this. I bet, how many times have you already failed in business before?
I've always said, though, I didn't want to make any catastrophic failures, and that was with, monies. But I've definitely, stumbled. I'm still stumble, constantly with business. But
right, and
that's why I like it at the same time, like working at a commercial gym or a 9-to-5, it's relatively safe, and I can probably go home and just, watch TV and wake up and not worry about even doing continuing education. But I kind of just signed up for this, with all the stress and everything. It's like I have to remind myself, like, no, this is what you want. This is what you want to do. And I just like challenges and puzzles, and I guess just to kind of always being on stress and seeing if I can work my way out of them. And, day by day, it might be kind of interesting, but if you look back over a year, you can really kind of see like, wow, I did make some strides, and I kind of equate everything to the stock market. I kind of like the stock market, but, if you look at a chart, you want your line to be over. It might go up and down over the year, but if you draw a trend line, through it, if you're, rising gradually to the top over a year, you're doing pretty well. And that's kind of what I equate, business and even my life and everything to that trend line. And I kind of want to keep that trend line going. I don't know if that's too esoteric, but
no, dude, that is a fantastic analogy. Very spot on.
Yeah,
I'd say that's brilliant. You're talking about passions and stuff. We had Bud Jeffries on last week on the show. I don't know if you.
That guy is awesome.
But he's crazy awesome. But I mean, his takeaway message from the whole podcast was, live a life that has passion, something that gives you purpose for living for. And I think that I think that dreams draw out passion in people. If you don't have a dream that's big enough to chase after, I think you lose that passion. And like you're saying, like you found passion for training people, and helping others, and you found something, and it gave you such a sense of purpose that you're willing to go through the risk. And like you said, the constant stress of being the business owner, um, it's a pain in the ass. It really is, Doug. I can relate 100%. You know, right now it's summertime. Like half my clientele just takes the summer off because they gotta
Yep.
tote their kids around all summer. So it's like, well, I'll just sit here and twiddle my thumbs for a little bit, or I guess I can figure something out. So,
Sure.
You could apply the same thing. It's not just chasing a dream as far as career and money goes. I mean, it could be a hobby. It could be, you could be having a family. Just, in terms of, you could master a lot of different things and get a lot of personal value out of it. Like, say, having kids. Like, some people have kids that really shouldn't have them, and they half-ass it. And if you really put all of that into it, you can really get a lot out of it, and it's really rewarding. Or same goes for if you're a painter. Your job might be being an accountant, but you can get a lot of fulfillment if you find if your passion's painting, and you really put your all into it, and you can really get a lot out of life from just those things.
I want a small farm and a little bit of land. One day I'll have it. And
Yep,
everything I do is kind of working towards that goal, and that's for a happier, a place for my kids to run around, and ultimately as I get older and end up having grandkids, a place that the grandkids feel special to go to grandma and grandpa's. Because I had that growing up. Like when I would go to my grandparents' house, it was always like a special thing because it was like this just beautiful farmhouse, in the middle of rural New Hampshire. I think it's hard for a southern person to say rural. But anyway, and then we kind of tapped right into this next point with dealing with adversity. You talked about it at the very beginning of talking about your article, but I think that is arguably might possibly be the one absolute intangible to mastery. Is you're going to face adversity on your way to achieving mastery. Like you're not going to get it right away. I've seen people that are so used to picking up something sort of semi-effortlessly that when they first meet a challenge, they don't know how to handle it, and they get frustrated very easily. But I always try to coach them and say, you didn't know the skill when you walked in today. I don't expect you to know it when you walk out, but we're going to work on it, and it's a process, and you'll get it. You just got to be patient and stick with it, and know that you're going to fail and have some ugly reps that are going to need some work. And again, I'm just sort of sticking to fitness as a sort of our barometer for examples, because that's what we both are in the industry of, and certainly it's a very huge part of Awaken Live's overall message. But it does apply to just about anything else. You talk about business and home life. I fail at least once a day as a parent. I just got to pick myself up and try harder to do a little bit better at parenting the next day.
This is, I've encountered this in an interesting sort of way. Working in a corporate setting is I'm surrounded by a lot of people who were always very, very high academic performers. They're great at they're incredibly book smart. They're great at regurgitating data, and they've always study. I got a test to take, and then I get this instant result, and I'm always better than everybody else. Then I come into a corporate setting where the standards are completely different, and it's like they hit this wall where they're very talented, but in terms of dealing with the adversity of adjusting to this new environment and learning a new skill, a lot of them seem to buckle and can't move on to become successful because they can never adjust to this adversity of this changed environment from going to this academic to the corporate structure setting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And then that's okay too, but they have to have the mindset to be willing to take on those new challenges and better themselves, or else they're going to be stuck in that rut. And risk moving up in the company or even having friends that like them, so it's going to be, that's their challenge, right? So they have that one area of life where they excel at, but now you got to get into this other world and be social and learn how to work with people, and it's not you anymore. It's working as a team and being a little less selfish, and so
and there aren't tests like the measurements and standards where, like, in the gym it's it might be weight or a time in a how fast you can complete a skill or
sure.
So I don't know, like, how do you coach guys into dealing with adversity when they hit that wall?
I don't. Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't experienced it too much. I've had some kids that, let's say, they not make a team or get cut or something like that, and I've talked to them and stuff like that. I think I mostly kind of try to just deal with mindset sort of things. Because that's a big part of it. I know I didn't touch on that in the article, but when I train, I always try to, I have this thing in my mind where I don't care what happened to the kid today or whoever comes in. I want to make sure that when they come in today, they have a good experience and a positive experience. Like, I don't know if they had a bad day, their girlfriend broke up with them or whatever. Like, I want to make sure when they leave this gym that they're happier and they feel more confident. And I feel in the gym I can control that environment. So I'm not a yeller. I'm not like a guy that does negative reinforcement for anybody. I definitely joke around with them, but I'm not one of those people, because I want to, like I said, I want to make sure they have a good experience, and I think that helps out a lot. So
come on, Doug, you gotta tell them they suck once in a while.
If I do it, they joke. The cops, I can tell them they suck a little bit. But yeah, the kids is a little bit different. So I want to, so dealing with adversity, I always just try to tell them, hey, what went wrong? What do we do more? I even put myself out there, like some of the college kids that come back, I'm like, hey, how did training go last year before your season? What went well? What didn't go well? You can tell me, like, hey, we got to do more of this, or you didn't put enough of this in my programming. I'm okay with that, and I'm always kind of learning too. And so it's just dealing with those things, or adversity with injury, right? So there's a lot of kids that'll go out and roll an ankle or something else, and we got to overcome that and realize that what can we learn from this? Like, I had a bunch of ACL injuries, and I learned that, hey, I have to train. Like, I can't just run around and play soccer all the time and not be strong, or else I'm going to get injured. So how do I train to prevent that? And that's kind of passing along to the kids. So adversity is tough. I don't know, like some of the younger guys, like I said, the mindset thing, some have it and some don't. And even myself, I had to kind of learn it more, and I wish I learned it earlier. But I'm kind of thinking about things more, and kind of when I see something, like flipping it to the other side and kind of doing more of a contrarian view of things, like, what can I learn from this, rather than like, how am I going to get myself out of this kind of thing, or why is this so bad, or poor me, or something like that. So
in a way, I think that adversity comes with maturation. I mean, it's like, it would depend on your life and home circumstances. I mean, some kids have it pretty shitty, but you're kind of sort of average high school kid. They haven't gone through quite so much.
Yeah, true.
As maybe losing a job, but you still have to make the mortgage, or you've got a kid that's sick and you don't know how to pay the bills, or most Americans are like, I think the stat is like one major medical bill or one major car repair from financial ruin, because so many people are really paycheck to paycheck, and it's sort of that sort of adversity comes as life progresses. But you get through it. We all end up facing different things in life, but I think that when you're saying that sometimes the mental aspect's not quite there, it is a relevant experience. It's like,
exactly. A lot of them are young.
I didn't make the soccer team, or my girlfriend broke up with me. Like, how do I work through this?
Sure.
You and I and Michael and I, it's not that big a deal, but at the time, it's a big deal to them, and it's part of that sort of growing process. And like I said, they'll face tougher things, and maybe it's meant to be that way. Maybe that's the way life's supposed to be. You face kind of little humps before you face mountains.
maybe that's why we like this list so much, Marcus. Because like really, I guess you could apply this to your entire life. You could call your entire life, if you wanted to, the road to mastery. And having each of these little skills, these 10 steps, you could apply to everything as far as just getting us through this freaking marathon of a life out to the other side. Very few of us are ever going to get to the other side and have millions of dollars and all that stuff, but you can have a pretty good life if you master a good skill that's marketable. You can deal with your dog dying without completely breaking down and hiding. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, just remember, millions of dollars doesn't equate to having a good life. I've known a few people that have more money than they need, and they still don't have a great life. Right? There's something missing, or they don't feel complete, or something like that. So, that's always there.
Yeah, Mark and I were talking that before you jumped on, Doug, just about I think we were talking about this list and how it's very easy when you start getting into the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week type stuff, or mastering anything, or success, where it's always like you're always chasing the end of the rainbow sort of thing. But at the end of the day, if you go home and you're content and you're happy with what you're doing, you're probably far better off than if you're chasing some sort of lifestyle, because chances are you'll never get there.
Yeah, I said I shared with Mike before. Kind of had a abnormally shitty day. I usually have actually really good days. Today was just like one of those lemony snicket days, a series of unfortunate events. But tomorrow's a new day, and I shared with Mike before the call. I was like, look, at the end of the day, I get to come home to a supportive wife, 2 awesome kids, 3 and 1 year old boys that put a smile on my face just for being them. And it's like, it's not that bad. Some things didn't work out today, but at the end of the day, I got something to come home that's worth living for. And I think that's, sort of my key to mastery is like, man, I'm just trying to be a dad and a family man first and foremost. And then everything else will kind of fit into place, because that's where I find I'm rooted in my foundations.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And just keeping that in perspective, I think mastery is also like being internal. You can always look and see what somebody else has. I do it all the time. I'm like, man, that guy has 6,000 square foot gym, and he's only been around for 3 years, and he's got all these guys. But then I gotta realize, yeah, so all that stuff. But you know what I mean. It's like you got to realize what you have. You have an awesome family and kids, and that's what you need. You're not chasing somebody else's dream or living somebody else's life and thinking that's going to be the right one for you. And part of it is, creating your own journey. And then when you complete the steps, you're going to feel a lot more satisfied down the road and appreciate what you have a whole lot more. Right. Yeah. Cause you can.
Point 10.
Yeah.
Never be satisfied. I think that is just a great way that list concludes, man. It's always been just a little bit more hungry.
Sure, because there's always something. I'm gonna be always searching for something until the day I die. There's always something new to learn and keep moving and not be content. I didn't mean it as a sense that don't be satisfied with your life and try to move on or anything like that. But from the family.
I just heard the word and that made sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. But always, you don't want to be complacent, basically, right? You don't want to say, hey, I've done everything and now I can just kind of sit back, or even if you retire, find a way to help someone that maybe teach a young person how to train, or that they can bring up that next generation, or help the grandkids out, and have your ranch, have your farm, and teach them some skills that they need to be successful. I think that's finding a new purpose for a time in your life.
Awesome. Well, hey Doug, this has been it's been great. I appreciate you coming on. Next time, what's that? Oh, go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
It's in Northern California, kind of by about 30 miles south of San Francisco.
And where could Doug, if people want to find out more about you, where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, my website for the gym is Rise Above Strength. I also have a blog on there. I have over 100 articles and videos, and a free newsletter at dougfioranelli.com. I also put stuff on YouTube at, I think it's Rise Above Gym on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. That'd be fun. And yeah, I mean, if anybody ever needs anything, they can email me, or if they want me to do articles or videos on certain things, I'm always open to that, you know. So
dude, we'll probably get you to write an article for us. Give me a break.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you want to.
Stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, if you don't know if you you want to write something along this same vein for mastery, and we can link to this original On It article for you in that as well.
Give me the easy topics. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Or you can take whatever you want. I mean,
I can't do the 5 best push-up variations, or.
And then you can talk about how to manage
one quick trick to lose stubborn body fat.
You're gonna go into an intermittent fasting spiel with that one?
Go into the secrets of the universe overnight. That's your topic.
What was that?
Unlocking the secrets of the universe.
Oh, I wish, man. I'd be retired by now and just surfing all day or something.
You just gotta write it. Somebody will buy that.
Are you a surfer?
No, I like it. When I go down to visit my friends in like San Diego and stuff, I really enjoy it. The water's cold up here, and I'm total wimp, so. I used to do it more in high school when I didn't want to go to class or practice, but now I just save it for the like Hawaii or San Diego or something.
Nice. I'm actually going to go to San Diego here in a couple weeks, but I never surfed.
San Diego's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You never surfed?
I never have. Like my brother-in-law moved there when he joined the Navy, and he recently got out, so we're going to go visit him, and I don't think he's picked it up. So when we go, we just sit on the pier and watch the real locals go.
Go take a lesson.
I live at the beach, Doug, and everybody surfs around me. I've never picked it up. I mean, I've tried it a couple times, but it seems like one of those things that once you start, you don't really stop. And I've already got enough to do with that. I mean, I really do. Like, I always like make fun of my surfing friends. Like, you will drop everything right now, like abandon life completely if it's good swell. And they're like, "Yep." I was like, I have trouble doing that, man. I got stuff that needs to be done.
No, I haven't done it. Like I said, it's cold up here, but so we don't really get out much. But it's different. Like just being out there, it makes you think differently, and just being in nature, I think it's just it's a feeling you can't really replicate. And like I said, I'm not very good at all. I just kind of get on a longboard and just pop up when I feel like it. So I'm definitely not a master of surfing at any means. I'm a beginner at best. So, but I think just being out there and trying it.
Man, it looks relaxing. Half the time when I'm down in Imperial Beach, most of the time the guys just look like they're just sitting on their boards, just letting the swells go by, hanging out with nothing to worry about.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I'm telling you, just nothing like ocean therapy, dude. It is special. I think it might be because there's all those minerals in there too. I think that helps out. All the trace minerals.
On the sun, you soak up some sun a little bit. That's always good for the body.
Rejuvenation when I jump in the ocean. I got in yesterday for a little while. And it's awesome. I'm like 6 minutes from the beach, Doug.
Oh, that's great.
Come out here, and it is warm a lot all the time. You can actually, most years you can actually get in the water. I'm gonna say 10 months out of 12 without a wetsuit on. Now it's not 100% comfortable, like definitely. I mean, I went in on Christmas Day a few years ago in just board shorts, and it wasn't miserable, you know what I mean? I was able to stay there for like 5-6 minutes before I was like, all right, I'll get out now. But then it's just like January and February, they're like our only coldish months.
All right.
It's like in the 40s, the low 50s, and just sort of rains all the time. It's like Scotland here.
So how's the water flow? Does it flow up to you from Florida, or is it flowing down from the northeast?
Gulf.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's why it doesn't really turn around until like mid-December. I mean, the water temperature starts to drop in the fall a little bit, but it hangs on for quite a while. I mean, October is a really nice time of year to get in the water. And that's fairly late in the year for a lot of places, but...
Yeah, in San Francisco.
I've got a pretty good tolerance of cold water anyway, so I mean, I might be saying numbers that other people are like, I don't know about that. And my wife, she doesn't even put a toe until like July.
All right. Well, Doug, thanks again.
Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Dude, it's awesome having you on the show and finally getting to meet you. I know we've been
no, definitely. Hopefully one day we
correspondence on comments and threads for a few years now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've read all your articles and I love them.
I appreciate that. I'll try to keep
What about
some
mine,
going.
Doug? You read any of mine?
Have I read yours?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't remember because
Oh, that hurts.
I'm sorry.
That's
I have saw your YouTube videos. I enjoy those, and but I looked at I'm very jealous of your gym, your outdoor gym. That thing
Oh, you
looks
gotta
awesome,
come
Mark.
on out and see it. Let's try to set something up where you can come for a visit.
That's my dream. My dream is to like just go off the grid and move like to Wyoming or something, and just like, yeah, that's my dream. You have your ranch, and that's my dream.
Okay, if I could specify, that is actually my dream, but I have to have one that my wife will also do. So a farm and some land is pretty good compromise for us because I get to
Okay.
do a little bit of homesteading. But I would, ever watch that show like Mountain Men or, like Alaska, The Last Frontier? That's what I would do in a heartbeat. I would just.
Okay. That might be a little much for a city boy, but
Not me,
but yeah,
man.
no, your place looks awesome.
Yeah, you should. So what you're saying is, after all that, you're chasing my dream. Is what you're saying after.
Yeah, I think it's a good one to have.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a very unique facility. I mean, it's really, and it just sort of fell in my lap one day, which was even more remarkable. I literally walked from my parents' backyard next door across a ditch, and saw it and saw a for rent sign. It was like, hey, Mr. Landlord, this is what I do. This is the idea I have for that big building back there. What do you think? And he's like, sure.
Nice. No, it looks
And,
awesome. I'm glad
there
you
I
guys
am.
are doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks, Doug. Well, and big thanks to everybody who checked out the show tonight. Please check out Doug's website. Follow him on Facebook. Check out his articles on it. And we will see you again next time. Thanks, everybody.